Welcome to the Hay Kings podcast, brought to you by Vermeer, your expert in hay and forage equipment. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Brian Fiorini, a farmer and custom harvester in California, and he's going to tell us more about his operation. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
First of all, tell us where you're at.
So I'm located Turlock, California, which is almost the center of the state.
Gotcha.
Right in the heart of the Central Valley.
Gotcha. Tell us a little bit about the operation now, and then we'll dive into where you started.
Yeah, so we're a custom harvesting outfit. We do everything from cut, rake, and bale and pick up on hay work to disking and drilling jobs for wheat, to we do some almond ground prep and development, a few things in between for what our customers need. We cover about a 70-mile radius with what we do, and
that's not just hundreds of acres, I'd imagine.
No, we cover thousands of acres a year, multiple items.
Gotcha. Take us back to where you started.
So I got my start. I grew up on a dairy, born and raised there, and went to college at Cal Poly to major in dairy science and come home and take over the family operation. Loved what I did. Dairying was very hard work growing up, very rewarding work growing up. I really enjoyed it. So when I got home from school in 2010, the dairy industry in California had just come out of probably 3 of the worst years of prices it had ever had. Guys were operating probably 40 to 50% under their break-even price through 2 of those years. Oof. And so when I came home, it was pretty low, and we started trying to climb back out of a hole that was, pretty much everybody had dug in the industry. We did pretty well, and helped turn some things around. And by the time 2014 hit, we had some record high prices for about 9 months that year, which really helped. And after that happened, we were in a decent position, but prices leveled out for those next 2 years, kind of right around break even. And we were in a good position, and we decided we were going to sell the cows and get out of the dairy industry. My dad still owned the operation. He sold his portion. I sold my portion. And I had already started doing some custom jobs on the side with our own equipment while I had the dairy. And so I chose to go into that full time, and that's kind of where it started at. It was kind of custom work, and farming was really my second love of farming, and something I really had always wanted to do, and that was my opportunity to jump into it and go. So
I already know the answer to this, but do you miss the cows?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. There are some parts of it that I really do miss, because there was a lot of dairying that I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed growing up. It was a great industry to grow up in as a kid, but there's a lot of it I absolutely do not miss at all. and those are probably the driving reasons why, we don't get back into it, and why a lot of guys are unfortunately still getting out of this industry as time goes by.
I find, I likewise grew up on a dairy and milked cows clear into high school. And I miss the routine.
Yes.
I miss getting up and knowing exactly what I have to do today. And tomorrow and the next day. There's just not a lot of variation in the routine.
You never run out of something to do on a dairy.
Correct.
There's always something to do.
Correct.
Growing up on a dairy, you learn work ethic
in a way that few others do.
Yes, exactly. Because, the animals never stop, and you are the patron to them.
Yep.
And the schedule has to hit at the right moments.
Yep.
Every day of the year, no matter what the weather, no matter what the event. And you learn to put something, everybody always says family comes first in life, and they do. But on a dairy, that dairy comes first a lot of the time.
Yep.
you don't get to learn that in many other industries.
Yes, absolutely. That's hard to explain to somebody that's not been around that lifestyle.
Very, very.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. No, I have to go home and milk the cows. Period. End
Yeah.
of story. No,
Yeah,
I cannot
we have to
stay
be home at 5:00. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to be up at 4:30 in the morning, whether you want to or not, or, whether you were out late or not out late, you got to be up at 4:30 in the morning. That's it.
Sure. Once you get out of it, it makes everything else seem almost too easy, right?
It is. It's a hard adjustment at first. I would say the first 6 months I almost didn't know what to do with myself because you've changed your lifestyle and your mindset in a way. But yeah, I fully agree with you. Anything else you take on in life, work wise or outside of work is.
You mean this project has an end to it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
This, if it doesn't happen today, nobody dies.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah, we can shut this piece of equipment off and go home, and we'll pick up on it tomorrow.
Yeah.
That never happened before.
Yep.
It was you go until you finished whatever you were doing. So.
Now,
yeah.
Who works with you on your farm?
So it's a family run business. I worked with my parents owned it and ran it. I managed with them, and then we had about 4 employees at the time. We were milking just shy of 1,000 cows and farmed about 400 acres of ground.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
That's absolutely amazing that your ground is productive enough to feed 1,000 cows.
Well, in California, we have the luxury of, we can grow 2 to 3 crops per year on our soil. We can farm pretty much year round.
Right.
Where, other parts of the country or even just, outside of the valley, you're a 1 crop per year system. We can put a lot off of 1 acre in 1 year, and that allows less acres to suffice that many animals.
Right. Now that included silage and hay and a variety, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yes.
Winter cereals. Gotcha. Just making sure I understand the rotations here.
Yeah. So you'd be a corn silage crop in the summertime, wheat silage or wheat hay crop grown in the winter. And if guys had the right ground and you could get the timing down, you could grow a sorghum sedan crop from like end of August to Halloween and then go into your wheat crop.
Oh, that's crazy.
Your turnaround times would be, days from chop to plant, but it was doable if you had the ground good enough for it and the equipment to work the ground that fast. It was very doable.
And the water situation to go along with it, right? What's your water situation? Where's your water come from?
So our water comes from the Sierra Nevadas. Snow runoff. Like I just said prior, we only get about 10 to 12 inches of rain per year where I'm at. As you go north, they get more, and as you go south, they'll get a little less. So we rely on that snow pack in the Sierras to melt off in this, spring and summertime to go into the dams, fill them up, and then that water is released for irrigation throughout the summer up until usually irrigation season's April to October. And we rely on that for all of our irrigation water. As a dairy, you have the luxury of, wastewater on hand and supplement with that. There is pumping done with wells in our area, not as heavily, maybe as outside of Central California, but it is there and it is used. But we rely heavily on our irrigation districts to irrigate all that ground. We are a very hot climate. We pretty much get no rain from May to October at all. So it is, 90 to 100 degrees from June to September, and we rely greatly on that irrigation water to feed all those crops.
And what kind of irrigation systems?
So most of the irrigation systems are going to be gravity-fed flood irrigation systems.
Right.
There's some pivot scattered around, but you won't, I would say maybe 5% of the area has those, are very, very minimal, just because the ground's so flat.
Oh, sure.
Everything's laser leveled to control the flood water efficiently. So pivot's not as necessary being the flood water. can be controlled like that. So
you're farming with border checks and
border checks,
all those humpity bumpities in the fields that I'm not used to.
Yes, a lot of bordered stuff. Some fields bordered down to 30 feet apart, to some guys being 250 feet apart, just depending on the field and the amount of flow they can pull.
How the ground lays and how much water you can put out. Sure.
Yes,
Sure.
So we rely on that snowpack very heavily, and that's why water is such an issue, or a topic, I guess, where we're at, is because of everybody relies on it so greatly.
What's the current water situation where you're at?
Current water situation is not bad right now. 3 years ago, we were in a drought with almost no water to work with at all. And then last year we had record rainfall, record snowfall. So that pretty much turned the tables on our situation. And this year is looking solid and promising so far. The reservoirs 2 years ago were empty almost coming out of the winter. And this year they're full going into the winter. So we're in good shape. It's just the water's federally controlled and, for the most part. And so where it gets dispersed to and how is always a battle. And that's what creates the issues of, feeding farmland and cities at the same time and dispersing it all. But right now we have plenty of water. It's more of an issue of where and how it gets dispersed.
What's the hay market look like right now?
So hay market is, I would say, on the low end this year. Last year, with water being extremely limited, dry land crops were non-existent. As a custom harvester, we had a lot of fields. We didn't even pull into them and attempt to cut them because there was nothing there. In turn, that drove the hay market sky high because there was limited availability of pretty much everything.
Right.
Wheat hay, which is we usually have an abundance of wheat hay. There was almost none by the middle of June because it had just been gobbled up that fast. So prices skyrocketed last year, and we saw some of the highest hay prices I think I've ever seen last year and through the winter. And then this year, or this prior year, with all the rain we had and the large snowpack we had leading to high water allotments for irrigating, the hay prices in turn plummeted, with there being an abundance of stock in all types of hay on the market. So it drove prices down pretty heavily. And I'd say right now they're not too strong. That also coincides with the dairy markets taking a really big hit this year. They dealt with dairymen in general dealt with really low prices, probably like May through July, and have rebounded some now, but not to the point where they probably
really
need
exciting.
to be.
Yeah.
So you couple all that together, and you got a ton of hay on the market, and nobody with money to buy it, so to say. People buying hay got very selective. And I would say if you're growing good quality, clean hay, you would still make okay money on it. But anything outside of that was sold at very, very low prices. Going into this year, if things stay the way they're going to stay, I think we're going to see lower prices still. If the dairy market turns around and the dairymen, have some more capital on hand and money to spend, I think that will help. I think we're going to see some lower prices still this year at the way they're looking now.
Break down your market for me. What portion is dairy? What portion is cattle? What portion is equine? What portion is export?
So where I'm at in that Turlock, Merced, Modesto area, very heavy dairy market. We don't make any hay for export where we're at. So I would say, I'll say in relation to what I do in the area, you're probably 50 to 60% of the hay going to dairies.
And that's focused on alfalfa.
Alfalfa, straw.
Yep.
Everything's going to go to dairies. And then we do, I would say, have a pretty good retail horse market. Three tie 100-pound bales, probably 30-40% goes to that. And then the remainder be like your cattle operations or backyard guys, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's take a break there and we'll get a word from our sponsor.
My name is Rob Flowers, live in Whitesboro, Texas. The 604R premium efficiency level is through the roof. Dependability and durability on the 604R has been outstanding. We've had zero chain issues, zero bearing issues. The camless pickup has been phenomenal. And at the end of the day, that gives me more time to go home and be with my family. Prepare for the next day. Get more done.
Hear the full story at makeandhay.com/haykings.
We had the good chance to visit at the Western Alfalfa Forage Symposium. There we go, got the name right. And one of the things we talked about was equipment. And that's always on the top of a hay producer's mind. Tell me about an older piece of equipment that you just love. Does something come to mind?
Any pre-def tractor. I don't care what brand it is, as long as it's pre-def, that would be my go-to, just for the sake of how well they run, easy to work on.
Yeah.
The minimal issues by not having the def equipment, less problematic tractors across the board.
Sure. And hay equipment in particular, is there a baler that you wish you could have back, or a swather that you're just like, that was a good machine?
Well, I'd say the machines we have now are the ones I would want.
Okay.
Been in this business for full-time 8 years now, and, started out before then, and we've run multiple brands of big balers. We've run different brands of small balers, swathers, hay rakes. I mean, we've tried different brands of everything, and really pleased with the Krone equipment we have. The Krone Big Baler is by far, in my opinion, the best on the market without even thinking about it. The speed and capabilities of those machines has just been unmatched by anything else we've had or been around. And as a custom harvester, time is money, and we got to get from job to job to job as quick as we can, and we've done more with these machines than we ever have.
There's several different factors to this. The one thing that I hear you telling me is the operating speeds are important to you.
Yes.
That's number one on your list?
That's probably, I'd say top two.
Okay.
Operating speeds and bale weight.
Okay.
And we get both of those with that machine.
The things that we spend a lot of time on this podcast talking about: uptime, reliability, maintenance cost, dealer support. Can you take me? You don't need to name names here. You can if you want to. I'm not going to stop you. I don't recommend embarrassing dealers on this on national podcast. You can if you want, but take me through how you think about those things. That's more important to me.
At the end of the day, they're all full. It's all full circle. My dealer support for my brand in my area is not the same dealer support for somebody in your area.
Yep.
Not everybody's, just because that product works for me, the product itself, maybe the dealer support's not the same, or vice versa, in other areas. But the dealer support is huge. Especially post-COVID, parts availability and machine availability and capability of servicing is definitely changed from all of that. And so those things are really big. And just ag is every day, day to day, never stops. We have busy schedules. We don't factor in time for breakdowns when we're planning our schedules as farmers or custom operators. And so, uptime is gigantic, and having a machine that runs less problematic is a huge plus. And then in turn, the speed in the field and how fast we can complete a job and also pull the bale weight we want. All those things together are huge. And we have a good Krone dealer in our area, and the balers have been fantastic in the field. I mean, we've done things with big balers that I didn't know we could do, just because of the speed and the capabilities of what they can do weight wise.
What comes to mind there?
I mean, compared to, we've had Claus balers in the past, and they were good machines. We've ran with Massey balers as well, and they're good machines as well. And we pulled into the field with these HD Krones that we have, and one baler can do the work of two two of anything else.
Wow.
We're baling 1.5 to the acre alfalfa at 15 miles an hour and putting 1,400 pound bales on the ground. We're doing 2-ton straw, and we're making 1,350 pound straw bales, which is just crazy.
That'll do. That maxes out a truck, 1,350.
1,200 will max out a truck probably in California.
Gotcha.
We'll go heavier, and a guy will just haul a few less bales.
Yep.
But we can, with these machines, we are doing more work faster than we were with other brands, and we're pulling more weight.
Mm-hmm.
So when you couple those two things together, it's just, it's pretty impressive.
Are you doing custom swathing, windrowing?
Yeah. So we do all of our own. We swathed about 25,000 acres last year.
Oh, just 25,000 acres.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
On swathers, we ran 499/80s last year. Very good machines. Cut extremely well. Handle large tonnage crops very well. Comfortable machine to run. We ran those, and have been really happy with them, especially compared to other brands we've ran in the past. We do about a little over half of our work is for hay, cutting hay for baling. The other half of our work is we contract in front of a custom silage company, and we do all the swathing for them in front of the choppers. And we're laying down 18 to 22 ton wheat and triticale crops in front of those machines, which pretty impressive tonnages on that. Green feed, wet.
Yeah, that's wet tons per acre is what
wet tons, yeah.
There's not very many people that think that way except silage harvesters.
Yep. Yeah, very big crops. So we do a lot of that as well in the spring. We just purchased a big M Crone 450 for next year. We're continuing to grow as a company, and we're looking to grow more efficiently, so to say. And I think going forward, with all, anything we do, whether swathing, baling, groundwork, anything, we need to grow efficiently and try to do more with less. Less equipment, less employees, all those things, but still cover the amount of acres that we need to, cover to service the customer.
Yep.
We're really excited about this purchase. The acres per hour on this machine is just outstanding. It cuts extremely well.
Have you used it yet? Because you're at your slow time of the year, right?
Yeah. So we demoed it October, November. So we had some late hay crops we were able to cut with it. We had some late silage work we were able to do. So we got to run this thing in multiple conditions, different conditions. And it performed very well. And I think it's going to do really well for us. It'll cover the acres per hour that 2 swathers will do, actually more than what 2 swathers will do, while burning the amount of fuel that 1 swather will. And I think that's, we were estimating a time savings of about 60% versus running 2 swathers. So
now you're talking about time it takes to cut the field or operator time?
Yes. Yeah. No, all of it,
Wow.
We had a job we demoed it on, and, alfalfa job, 2 swathers to road to that job, cut it and, go back to the shop would be about 14 to 15 hours with 2 swathers.
Okay. So you're 28 to 30 hours total time.
Yes. And we did it in 9 hours with road time with the Big M.
Oh,
pretty impressive.
So not everywhere has high minimum wage rates like Washington State, where I'm at, and certainly California, where you're at. What's the minimum wage in California?
I want to say minimum wage is, no, don't quote me, I might be off here, but I think we're in the 16 to 17 range. No. 15, 50, 16, I think. Yeah. But it's going up to, we're January 2nd. Yep. I think it's supposed to go up even closer to 17. But even if minimum wage isn't high, the results we saw with this machine on the time savings, if you just want to, not have to run all day and get more done. It's huge. Or, instead of a guy having to have 2 swathers on his operation, or even 3, one machine will do those. This one machine will do the work of those.
Mm-hmm.
So we're pretty excited about it. I think it's going to help make us more profitable as a business, but also help us get more done faster, which will be fantastic.
Let's take a break there and we'll get a word from our sponsor.
Looking to get more from your alfalfa seed? Plant Cropland. Achieve your alfalfa production goals with a well-crafted plan. New AA series varieties from Cropland provide significant improvement in overall plant health, improving yield, quality, and persistence. Find the new AA series variety that works for you, available in conventional Roundup Ready or reduced lignin Harvextra trait platforms. Cropland has the right fit for your need. For insights and more information that will work for you, go to www.cropland.com.
Can you take me through, now I also know the answer to this already, take me through your lineup of rakes and where you use what and how.
So we run, I have 2 sets of Krone rotary rakes. We run an 880, which is a traditional center delivery, and then a 740, which is a 2-basket side delivery. And that rake is probably one of my favorite pieces of machinery that we have. Very versatile. It can flip 2 16-foot swather windrows at the same time, individually. You can lift the curtain and you can rake about 48 feet into one pass by going, down one way and up the other and putting 2 passes together.
I'm not sure I like being in hay that is that light.
Yeah. Well, as a custom operator, we see everything. We get into monster crops, we get into thin crops, we get into average crop. We come across so many different scenarios that we have to be able to set ourselves up efficiently so that we can still, a job that maybe isn't ideal, we can still come in, set it up right for ourselves and make money on it.
Sure.
So that rake performs really well in silage. So it comes in handy when we do a lot of our silage work as well.
Sure. In that case, you just want the biggest, most monstrous windrow that you can possibly put in front of the chopper.
These guys are running, 1,000 horsepower choppers. They want as much feet in front of as they can possibly get.
Yep.
So then that comes in handy there. And it lets us cover the ground faster. We do have I think I have a 38T, which is just a single rotor Krone rake, great for flipping windrows. Big hay for drying down or something gets rained on. And then I have a set of Darfs that we use in certain situations. Not my favorite rake, but we have one that we use here and there and, helps us out when we need it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we run. The Krones are very, very well built, very heavy. Used to have Claws rotary rakes, and they ran fine. They did good for us, but the Krone was just built heavier, is holding up better as the season goes through compared to those. So,
how would you describe the state of the industry right now? The hay silage industry in general?
It's strong, but it's very volatile.
Mm-hmm.
One year can be great, the next year can be rough, and you got to play it for the long haul, so to say. But if you're growing good quality crops, and you're making clean quality hay, you'll still make money, even in a bad year.
Yep,
you'll still make money. So that's got to be for the grower. That has to, as a custom harvester, I could bale a bale of weeds, or I could bale the best hay I've ever seen in my life, and I'm making my money.
Yep.
The same. But for the grower, and I see this just from the dairy hay we make and the horse hay we make, good, clean, quality hay will always sell well. Even like a bad year that we had like this where prices were low, we made some really nice alfalfa hay for guys that did a good job growing it, and they still made better money than I thought they would have made this year because the hay was that good. And a grower who didn't put as much into his crop made less because of it. So that will always hold true going forward, I think, no matter what the situation.
Now, 8 years in, you've learned a thing or two. Do you have any advice for younger producers? Thinking back to yourself, 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, would you have done anything different?
Would I like to do anything different?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can always look back after the fact and, I should have done this or I should have done that. Or, I grew up on a dairy. I'm in this now. Ag in general is just a tough industry. And I think we all love it because it's an industry that you can fall in love with through the passion you have for your work and the passion you have for, what it entails and the life that it gives you. But it's tough. I mean, no matter what, it's tough. Every year presents its own challenges, and you get a lot of unforeseens in ag. Things you just don't expect to have coming, or things you don't see coming, and they just kind of hit you sideways, and you got to be able to handle the blows. And I would say going forward for anybody, whether you're starting out or for a guy who's been in it 30 years longer than I have, you got to put your head down and push forward and work hard and be ready to take on anything. And don't ever expect it to get easy, because it isn't going to. It might get easy. It might get easy for a second, and you think, I get to catch my breath for a minute here, and it's going to come right back at you.
And then wham.
Yeah. You better have iron in your blood, and you better be ready to take on everything you expected and everything you don't see coming, because it's a tough battle, day in and day out, and year in and year out. And when you do well and things are good, be smart. And be smart with it. Don't get frivolous, and that'll pay off. And when it gets tough and tight, you buckle down and you just keep pushing forward.
That sounds like great advice.
Oh, thank you.
I want to say thank you for joining us today. I've enjoyed hearing about your. You have a pretty unique situation there in California.
Yeah, we do.
You harvest just about every month of the year.
Yes.
And you see lots and lots of acres.
Yeah.
And that's I've really appreciated hearing your thoughts today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Vermeer for making all of this possible. Special thank you to Nick Palmieri at Palmieri Sound for doing my audio editing, Jessica Palmieri for coordinating the marketing efforts. Go to the Hey Kings website, that's hey-kings.com, and check out some new merchandise we have up. If you're running small balers and need a stroke counter, moisture meter set up, we have that now. And if you're looking for work and you're ready for a new set of hay hooks, we're carrying those on the Hey Kings website now too. So go check it out, and thanks for listening.